coming, everybody. And I hope you had a great a break over the holidays and some recharge time. So today we're going to be going over basically best practices for the post-season, so removals and preparing for next year, etc. And Paul is going to take us through this today. Paul Baluk is the CEO of the Holiday Lights Academy and has worked with multiple Christmas light installation companies, including building Shack Shine up over the period of about 6 years. And he is one of the most knowledgeable people in this entire industry. And so we're very grateful to have him to be able to guide us through this today. So anyway, I will hand it over to you, Paul.
Awesome. Thanks, Claire. Thank you. And I know it's sort of the first work day back in the new year, so we're recording this for whoever's going to be watching it after. For those that could join us, thanks for taking some time out of your busy day. And we just wanted to share some best practices after the holiday season to help set you guys up for success for 2025. So if those joining us on the call, if there's any questions, feel free to put them in the chat, or we'll open it up later for questions. For those that are joining us on the recorded video later, which I'm sure many will and watch it, feel free to reach out to either myself or Claire or any of the BSL team. Happy to answer any questions that you have as well. I'm sharing my screen. Hopefully you guys can see that. But again, today's session would be just on post-holiday season best practices. Like Claire said, my name's Paul. I am the founder and CEO of the Holiday Lights Academy, where we help business owners add on and scale holiday lights in their business. We have several dozen members in the academy right now, and even last year we had a member do about $1 million in their first year doing holiday lights. So what we do is we help share best practices, skip the learning curve, and help business owners like you guys scale holiday lights business. So a lot of what you'll hear today is learnings from peers in different markets from yourselves. And I wanted to share all that to help set you up for success for this year. By the end of this call, I'd love for each of you just to understand about 3 methods to help set yourself up for success in the year ahead. Some of what you will hear today, you may already know, and some things may just confirm what you've heard, but others, you might learn some new things. So I'm hoping you'll pick up at least 3 new things or methods that can help set you and your business up for success in the year ahead. Today, I'll probably chat for about 20, 25 minutes. I'm going to go over a quick intro, business planning, takedowns or removals, booking reinstalls, pre-season ordering. I'll pass that on to Claire, and she'll take you guys through what pre-season ordering looks like for Big Star Lights. Then we'll open it up for questions and we'll close the call. Probably won't need the full hour today, but probably wrap up in about 25 to 40 minutes. Starting off with business planning, a lot of the key to setting up your year correctly and setting up for success is starting to plan early. And a lot of business planning is utilized for your goals. Each of us have a goal in our business that we walk into the business with. And that goal is typically centered around it's strategy. And what that is where do we want to see ourselves? What things we want to achieve? What are our strategic programs? Then we have a sales and revenue plan. What's my sales target? What's my revenue target? For those that aren't familiar with it, sales always leads revenue in holiday lights. So you may sell more in a given year than you'll produce because of maybe some cancellations or some jobs pushed to the next calendar or fiscal year. So having that detailed sales and revenue plan is key for planning. Outlining a marketing budget. So now is the best time to look at, okay, what did we do last year? How much do we want to grow this year? And what do I need to invest into marketing? Whether it's digital, traditional, local, social, and what does that look like? Most business owners that are centered around holiday lights and specifically residential look at investing about 10 to 15% of revenue goal into marketing. So if your goal is $100,000 this year for holiday lights, what does it look like to spend $10,000 to $15,000 in marketing? And the last one as part of business planning is P&L budget, so profit and loss budget. Once you have your sales and revenue plan, once you have your marketing budget, then that will allow you to see, well, what's my profit and loss? What's my revenue? What are my COGS? COGS are cost of goods sold. That gives you your gross profit. From that, you can budget for your OPEX, like operational expenses or general expenses, and that'll give you your net profit. So a solid business plan will allow you to see, well, what's my top line? And by the end of my budget, what can I expect to make off that top line? Now, if we haven't done it yet for this year, it's a good idea to spend some time on it now, kind of first week back from the holidays, and spend some time identifying what's my top line goal, and then using a business planning tool to get to your bottom line and what are you actually going to make off of your plan. You may have heard the saying, there's a few sayings out there, like Benjamin Franklin said, if you plan to fail, you fail to plan. Or if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. But one of my more favorite ones is a goal without a plan is just a wish. So a lot of us have these awesome goals, but in reality, they're just a wish because we haven't really made a plan to get there. And a lot of the work in getting to our goal is that plan or business plan. That includes components like strategy, sales and revenue, marketing budget, P&L budget. So we don't want it to just be a wish. We want it to be a plan that can help us get there. That's something that can be done right now if you haven't done it already for your business. One of my favorite terms in business is it's called BHAG, and it comes from an author called Jim Collins. Some of you may have read his book. It's called Good to Great, and I think he has a few other books. But BHAG means big, hairy, audacious goals. And what does it mean to BHAG your business? So what are the big, hairy, audacious goals you have for your business? What does it look like from your perspective to work on your business, not in the business? Having and utilizing like a 30,000 foot view of the business. So instead of working like day to day in the business, what does it look like to take ourselves out of the day to day and look at the business from a 30,000 foot view? For example, working on strategy or vision. Those types of exercises take you out of the day-to-day and bring you up about 30,000 foot view so you can see everything mapped out more clearly. Inspect what you expect. So in order to BHAG your business, what are some key KPIs that we want to track? Same idea as what gets measured gets improved, and knowing your numbers. So those last three are all around KPIs. And knowing what you want to shoot for, because in order to get to your BHAG, we got to know what our numbers are. A very smart entrepreneur once told me, sales by day, paper by night. And in order for us to BHAG our business, we need to look at, okay, what sales activity can we contribute day by day, leaving the administrative stuff to evenings or hiring out like a virtual assistant or administrative assistant. Well, what does it look like to contribute sales by day? Then lastly, in order for us to really BHAG our business, big, hairy, audacious goals is let's find out where we're at right now. What did we do last year? Where do we want to go this year? And what's the difference in there? And how do we achieve a plan to hit that difference? And that'll allow us to BHAG our business. And for all of us in the call is, what's our BHAG? Is my BHAG this year to run a $2 million holiday lights business? Is my BHAG to run a $500,000 holiday lights business? Each of us have a different BHAG. And if you haven't heard this term yet, it's a great exercise to contribute to your business and allows you to push yourself to get to the next level. So always thinking, if it's one of the outcomes of the call for you, what's my BHAG? What do I want my big, hairy, audacious goal to be? And on the screen here, for those that aren't driving today, hopefully, if you are, doing it safe. For those that aren't driving or reviewing this on the recording, here's an example of what a business plan looks like, specifically the sales and revenue plan tab. And a business plan identifies sales and revenue goals. Then it splits it up into monthly targets. So you have your holiday lights revenue goal, And then that goal gets split up into monthly targets. And each month, it'll tell you exactly what you need in terms of leads, in terms of estimates, jobs completed, sales dollars, revenue dollars. So it breaks down absolutely everything you need. If you utilize a business plan currently, it's awesome. If it's one that you're looking for, feel free to shoot me an email at paul@holidaylightsacademy.com. Happy to share a quick template with you to help with your business planning for this year, because it's such a great tool now that we're into the new year to help forecast and plan for your upcoming season. Now, getting into takedowns, I know a bit of this call will be about what does it look like to have a successful takedown season now that we've installed all the holiday lights and Christmas lights in the last couple of months. We have to come back, take them down, and do that properly and store them and label them and everything. So in terms of best practices for those, first, I wanted to start off with scheduling. Now, scheduling your takedowns, there can be an art to it. I'm sure many of you have great techniques with a lot of success. So some of these you may have already know, some may be new. One would be just emailing all of your customers that require a takedown. So it could be a simple email, depending what CRM you use. If you're using Jobber or Vonago or Service Titan or Workies, you can utilize one of those, or you can use something like Yam, yet another mail merge, or other similar tools to email your customers that require a takedown. Let's say you have 100 customers that require a takedown. Shoot them a templated email saying, hey, we're in your neighborhood these dates. When can we schedule you for a takedown? If those customers don't respond to you, it's a good idea to phone, text each of them that didn't respond to your email to get them on your takedown schedule. For takedowns, a few best practices that I've heard is giving, let's say you have 100 residential takedowns and you've got a few neighborhoods you're doing it in, you definitely want to bucket your takedowns into neighborhoods. So you're completing, let's say, 8 to 10 takedowns in neighborhood A on Monday. Neighborhood B, you're doing 8 to 10 on Tuesday. Neighborhood C, you're doing 8 to 10 on Wednesday. If they're properly routed, you can get to quite a bit of them, making it quite efficient and cost effective for you. So what I like to usually do is when you're emailing all your neighborhoods for takedown, give them a week window. We're completing takedowns in your neighborhood on the week of January 10th. And we'll be in your neighborhood completing takedowns. And leave it quite vague and saying you'll show up that week, because they don't need to be home. You have the storage bin and you'll complete the takedown and take that bin with you. So giving a week window instead of a day allows you to route it better so you're more efficient and cost effective with your takedown. Just reduces windshield time. And you do want to aim for about 8 to 10 takedowns per day. Some I've seen do up to 15. If you have a lot of larger jobs, it might be just a handful, but it depends on how many you have or how big your jobs are. But the key is just making sure you give your customers a weekly window, and that way you can route your neighborhoods in that week. When you're on site for takedowns, updating project photos is key. Again, whether you use Jobber, Workies, Vonago, other platforms like that, it's important to update your project photos on each of your projects to have accurate images of any features on there, and annotating the features with the style you put on. So is it a trunk wrap, branch wrap, canopy wrap, roof line, and identifying exactly what the feature is and just annotate it on the photo. You can put number of lights in each feature. Very importantly, the location of power as well. And maybe any additional details like where to park or drive lifts, where to store certain things, depending what type of jobs you have. If they're larger, might need more details. If they're smaller residential jobs, it primarily just needs the first 3. Then when you're on site and you're doing all your removals, removals come down pretty quickly. You can do most of them from the ground or very little ladder work compared to the installation. Make sure you label all your light strings and label all the storage bins as well. Then a huge opportunity when you're completing takedowns on site is you're there already. It's a good idea to complete job site marketing. So each of you either have your holiday lights business and a core business. I think I see a lawn business on here. I'm sure there's a few other ones like painting or window cleaning or others. Complete job site marketing for your core business. You can drop your holiday lights door hanger and your core business door hanger as well. That way you just get more impressions in your neighborhood when you're doing removals or takedowns. Always have a lawn sign up and then complete job site marketing with door hangers. Usually door hangers, you do 15 up and then 15 down. That way it gives you the maximum amount of impressions. And even though you're installing holiday lights, you can leave them a door hanger for lawn care or window cleaning. For those that aren't familiar with it, and I'm sure many of you are using Company Cam, but Company Cam is a great tool to update project photos. You can annotate images on there with the decoration style, number of lights in each feature, location of power. You can put everything into Company Cam. It does integrate with various CRMs, depending what you use. But if you don't use it yet, it is a great tool to use for takedowns for holiday lights. On site, once you've gotten there, you've taken them down, you kind of know the best practices for that. Now getting into labeling, what does labeling look like? Labeling in particular, meaning different companies have different ways of approaching takedown. Some like to label right on the photo and using Company Cam and labeling like the third floor peak as A, second floor peak as, or roof line as B, etc. But some like to label each string. So it's up to you, whatever works for you. This example just walks you through labeling each string. So each string is to have accurate labels, whether it's on the string itself or annotated in Company Cam, for example. The label on the string should be what side is the string on and what floor is the string on. Important to state, especially on residential jobs, where the male end was. And then an example of that would be on the string. It could say front, first floor, male right. If you're doing it on Company Cam, it would have clearly a photo of the home, and then you can just annotate the first floor as A and indicate where the male plug is going to go. That way, the next year, when maybe perhaps a new installer shows up, they know exactly where to go with that string. So most I've seen in the residential side would just label each light string, and it would just say on like a piece of tape or labeling system that you have is front, first floor, male right. If it's on a side, you could say right side, second floor, male left. So it gives you a really clear indication of, in addition to Company Cam or your photo software, it gives you a clear indication of where it's going. In addition to strings being labeled as well, it's really good practice to label every bin as well. And every bin should have the project name. For many people, it's different. It could be the address, could be the customer name. Depends how big your business is. I know some of us listening in or on the call could have businesses with 500 installs. Some might have businesses with 50 installs. So it depends how big your business is and what your naming convention is. But ensure you have project name and then number of bins in the project. Is it one bin, 1 out of 1? Is it 1 out of 2? Is it 1 out of 3? So labeling the bins just to make sure you keep them all together when you store them. And labeling the lines, make sure to wrap them up kind of around your elbow, wrap them whatever method you have. If you use the tape method to label, you can write right on the tape. I've seen some people do that. But if you have a larger business with lots of moving parts, a lot of installers, it's a really good idea to use Company Cam to annotate the images and label it on there. Then those labeled strings or those bundled strings would go right into a storage bin, something like on the bottom right side of my screen. Those are super handy, durable. They stack nice and easily. A lot better than those more flimsy Rubbermaid ones or similar. Those tend to break and they're brittle in the cold. So the ones on the photo are a really good option. They also come in different colors, I think red lids and yellow lids. Now, once you've labeled it, next up is storage. Storage, it can be approached different ways. The best way to approach storage is for you guys to store your customers' holiday lights. And there's a few different ways of doing that. But you would supply your customer with the storage bin. and store the lights in your warehouse, office, storage unit, whatever that looks like. That way you control your repeat revenue. I know I've talked to a lot of businesses that they let their customers keep the lights in the office or in their garage, or other areas. But that way, unfortunately, you don't really control your revenue, and it's pretty hard coordinating for them to leave the bin outside for you for the reinstall. So it's best if you're able to supply the customer with your storage bin and you store their lights in your warehouse or office or storage unit. Again, this may go without saying, but make sure each bin has a 2-inch hole drilled towards the bottom into each side. So 2 holes, one on the left side of the bin, one on the right side of the bin. That's for ventilation. We don't want any moisture, especially for those joining us on the West Coast, wet coast. We don't want any moisture to get stuck in the bin. So we want to make sure we have at least a 2-inch hole drilled onto each side for ventilation. That way you don't have any lost product. And then making sure bins are organized, kept together. Every bin is labeled correctly before going into storage. And then when you put the bins into your storage, it's important to update the project information on your CRM, whether it's like Jobber or Vonago or Service Titan or Company Cam, whatever you use, update it. Where's the bin? If you have storage units, what storage unit is it in? What part of the storage unit is it in? Where in the warehouse is it? Becomes an important system if you do 500 plus, 1,000 plus installs. Again, depends on the size of your business. And again, utilizing these awesome bins available at Home Depot. I've seen them at Costco as well. For those in Canada, I believe Canadian Tire has them too, but these are generally the better bin to be used for storage. And lastly, before I pass it over to Claire for preseason ordering, I wanted to go over booking reinstalls. Now, a lot of our success for the upcoming install season starts today. When you reach out to a customer to book their takedown, you complete their takedown, and right after, it's really good practice to book their reinstall. You want to get them on your schedule as soon as possible. That way there's that commitment, they're on your schedule, and it's on your terms, so you can route it a lot better. So when you're booking your reinstalls for the upcoming season, it's a good practice to book your customer's reinstall right after their takedown is completed. So once their takedown's completed, call them back, say, thank you so much for your support. Happy New Year again. I'd love to get you on the schedule for this upcoming season. We're actually in your neighborhood, September 15th. Which day would work with you, Monday or Tuesday? Something like that. That way you're kind of directing the customer to what works best for your business. And then you can route your neighborhoods based on customers in that neighborhood, so you reduce windshield time. It allows you to be much more profitable, and you can squeeze in way more jobs in one day if you schedule them a lot earlier in the season. So scheduling your reinstalls now allows you to better route your jobs, and it reduces windshield time, increases profitability. Another big opportunity with booking reinstalls now is customers are excited. It's the holidays. They've just seen their lights up. They love them. It's top of mind, and they're ready to add additional features to their display. So get them when the emotion is high and they're excited. So mention, hey, have you thought about adding anything to your display? Did you notice anything that was missing or you want to add to the following season? That question is best to ask now rather than in August or September when you're trying to rebook them. They've forgotten all about their display 10 months ago. So it's best to ask that now, get that commitment, and add that to their display. Gets you a sale, gets you more revenue. It's much more profitable. And also, very importantly, it allows you to forecast your product and inventory a lot better. With your preseason order coming up with Big Star Lights, if you have all these upsells booked, these additional features that you've added to displays, you can forecast that in your inventory order. So you can order at your Big Star Lights discount, at the preseason discount, which will make you more profitable and that job more profitable for you. And lastly, most of us here on this call have our core services that we work on throughout the year, whether it's a landscaping company, window cleaning, painting, pest control, whatever the other companies are. we have our core services. It's a great time to ask them if they need any other services completed. So that happens when you book the customer for their reinstall. You'd say, hey, thank you so much for your support in 2024. Just completed your removal. Love to book you for your reinstall. Which week in September works for you? By the way, we're just booking up for our window cleaning starting in March. I'd love to get you on the schedule for that. Would you look at any windows, gutters, or power washing at this time? So you can give them a quote for any other services that you may need. In my experience, it is a lot easier selling a lawn care quote or window cleaning or power washing, painting once they've already been your Holiday Lights customer. It's an easy transition from a Holiday Lights customer right to your core services like lawn care or window cleaning or painting. You've already acquired them. You've done the hard work. They've spent a lot of money with you for lights. It's pretty easy to convert them to be a core customer. And now's the best time because you're top of mind. You've just provided a great service. Emotions high. They're excited about after the holidays. It's a lot harder to convert them in April or May because excitement is down. So now's the best time to get that extra revenue in for spring season. So in combination with all of that, like booking reinstalls, the takedowns, the business planning, all of that, hopefully you guys learn a few things from there, but all of that combines to starting off the year strong and then setting yourself up for success in 2025. For the last thing, I'll pass it over to Claire, and Claire from Big Star Lights will walk you through what does preseason ordering look like and the details around that. So Claire, over to you.
Awesome. Thanks, Paul.
No problem.
I'm just going to share my screen here. All right. So for those of you who have made a preseason order before, the method this year is slightly different. As you'll remember, for the past couple of years, we have had a separate website for preseason orders. This year, you make your preseason order through our regular website as you normally would. However, you do it from a slightly different page. So I'm just going to take you through the process here. So there's a banner very clearly on our homepage. Our preseason sale is now live. So you're going to click Shop Preseason. And here you've got all of our preseason products, and you'll see they're listed at 30% off. So what you're going to do is go in as you normally would. We're going to add some C9s to a cart. I'm going to do warm white. And you're going to see instead of it saying add to cart or buy now, it says add to quote. And this is because you're not actually going to pay at checkout. You'll remember that from preseasons in past years. You just submit the order and then we contact you about payment afterwards. So I'm going to hit add to quote. So I've got my one case here. I'm going to go in and very quickly add my information. And once this is done, I'm going to, sorry, before I get there, payment method. So you can choose how you would like to pay here. Just please note that for credit card transactions, there is a 3% credit card fee on preseason orders. Pre-authorized debit is the most widely used. It's basically reverse direct deposit. So we pull the funds out of your account on the day that they're due. And I will go over how this works in a moment. I realize I sort of skipped some information here about how preseason actually works, because I think some of you who are going to be watching this is the first time you will have done preseason. But I will just finish this process first, and then I will briefly touch on how our preseason sale works and the deposit schedule. So I'm going to just do this here. Oops. Review information. Okay, now I'm going to submit the quote request. So that has now been submitted to us, and we will contact you with the invoice to sign. We will contact you with you will receive a DocuSign if you've selected pre-authorized debit. You will fill that out with your banking info and send that back to us. So that's what will happen at that point. But before we get there, I just want to go over how this actually works. So you can also go to learn more here. The deadline is on the 17th, so you've got 10 days to submit your orders. And so basically, you will submit the order to us and you pay. This gives you a whole rundown of how it works, so feel free to read this page. But you submit a 30% deposit first, and in exchange for 30% off. And so the 30% is due up front, and then the next 30% is due June the 3rd, and then the final 40% is due on August the 14th. And then once we have that, we will ship the lights to you at the end of August or early September. And yeah, so please do reach out if you have any questions. Another very important detail here is that there is a $5,000 minimum for our preseason orders. So it won't limit you from filling your cart and checking out less than that. But if it is less than that, we will contact you and see if you need to adjust it in any way to get you to that minimum. So this is, as Paul mentioned, an absolutely fabulous way to ensure you have what you need for the coming season, so to guarantee your product and to increase your margins. 30% off our 2025 pricing is obviously the biggest discount of the year. So I really encourage you to take advantage of this. Paul, back over to you.
Thanks, Claire. I know we've with the businesses I've worked with, and many take advantage of this. So it's awesome. And the savings definitely add to everyone's profitability. So highly encourage that for those joining in or listening in. Thank you, Claire. I'd like to open it up to any questions. I know there's only a few able to join us today, and many more will listen to the recording after, but are there any questions for those that are able to join us today? If not, all good. I think Joshua, you said you were driving, so I don't want you to not be safe. If there are any questions, I know maybe usually what happens is if you're listening to the recording after, or even those that can join us, you might have a question after. Feel free to reach out to Claire or myself, and happy to answer any question that comes up after. But
awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, thank you so much for joining us. And to those who are going to watch this after the fact, thank you for watching. Huge thanks to Paul for giving us all of these juicy tidbits of information today. And yeah, hope that removals go well for you. And I know some people are starting them now, obviously in the warmer climates, and some people will be starting them once things thaw a little bit. But never hesitate to reach out if you have questions about removals or anything like that. We are totally happy to help you. So anyway, Happy New Year, everyone. And thank you so much for joining us.